The Kingman, Arizona UFO crash retrieval goes mainstream. Isn't that awesome? Let's talk about it. Get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Yeah, this is a news piece about the Kingman, Arizona crash. Now, the Kingman crash, I've reported on it a few times before. It seems like a very important crash and crash retrieval. It seems foundational to the UFO control group in their efforts to reverse engineer and fly around in their own UFOs. Let's go over what is being reported. Here's just a little clip of this news piece.
They came from the sky, crashing down in the desert in an aircraft not from this world, according to UFO researchers.
I have heard rumors about it, yes.
A familiar story for those living here.
I've had two.
Okay, well, it's just going to take us through it, but what's notable about that is this an NBC piece? Because there's also an MSN piece about this at the same time. UFO crashed in Arizona and was stolen by officials in a cover-up. That's right, MSM is reporting on the Kingman UFO crash retrieval. Not in a dismissive, wink-wink, nudge-nudge kind of way, but actually honestly reporting on a very important crash retrieval, guys. I mean, this is huge. I think we are winning the battle. We are winning the battle. I think that's what this means. This is awesome. I love it. UFO crashed in Arizona, leaked documents claim. The U.S. seized a UFO in May 1953 that crashed outside Kingman near Route 66, according to a conversation between government officials. The visitors came tumbling down from the sky and slammed into the desert just east of Kingman. According to UFO researchers, author Preston Dennett believes it's more than just a story. He's been investigating UFOs since 1986 and is one of many who have looked into this alleged particular UFO crash, calling it the Paradise Valley crash or Kingman crash. Yeah, I've never heard the Paradise Valley crash. But yeah, I love Preston. He does great work. I've covered a lot of his material. Just a great, solid UFO researcher. Published a lot of books. And he's kind of like state by state, publishing, UFOs in California, UFOs in Texas, that kind of thing. And a whole lot more besides. But, the point is he's very, very detailed, very comprehensive. Love it. He's also an experiencer himself, which adds, I think, some even more validity to his research. Anyway, getting back to Kingman, the incident is not well known to those outside of Kingman and is not as famous as Roswell. It's very rare to have multiple witnesses, multiple sources of information confirming an incident like this, Preston Dennett told 12 News. So I guess maybe that's where the news piece is from, 12 News. Researchers have several differing theories as to what brought down the UFO. Anyway, so they keep on talking about Kingman, which is a very, very important UFO. And we'll go over some of the bullet points of why Kingman is so important. This is from Whistleblower. And I've asked Whistleblower where he gets his information. I haven't seen his response yet, but it lines up with a lot of my research into Kingman. So let's go over it. The craft did not crash. It was a controlled descent/landing and avoided crashing. Now, I'm not sure about that. However, it does seem to have been largely recovered intact, which is an important point in the story. So maybe it was indeed a controlled landing. This was in the Surbat Mountains, east of Kingman, Arizona. Am I saying Surbat? I don't know. Yeah, let me know how to say Kerbat or Surbat or whatever it is. The craft was not 30 feet in diameter. It was 90 feet in diameter. There was not one dead alien on board. There were 4 live aliens, with one having a leg injury. And by the way, Whistleblower is correcting the piece by 12 News, which was also shared by Michelangelo. The ET occupants were taken to Los Alamos National Labs in Albuquerque, New Mexico, same as the lone survivor of the Roswell crash. Metallic suits are correct. These beings are ETE-1, originally from the Rigel star system. Again, I don't know about that, although that may be what they told people afterward. They are biomechanical and have 4 fingers with little suction cups on the end of the fingers. And I have heard the bit about the suction cups before. The craft was taken to the Nevada test site up Route 93 after being barged across the Colorado River because it was too wide to go across the Hoover Dam. Yeah, and I've covered some of Michael Schratt's research into this, and that may be where he's getting this information. Detailing, for example, how difficult it was to move that craft. They had an effort. They had to struggle to get that thing across the river. You almost feel sorry for the UFO control group. Not really. This was done in the cover of night and very carefully around the sparse traffic to navigate the tight fit. Military escorts instructing traffic to pull to the side. This is the craft we reverse engineered to create our flying disc simulators up through the 50s and 60s. And that's why Kingman is so important, because this dovetails with my research. This seems to be the UFO that we used because it was intact, more or less, and had live occupants to tell us, what was up with the craft. And we used that to reverse engineer UFOs. Now, what's unclear to me is how that fits in with the part of the control group that is working with the beings. Because I don't consider, interrogating captured beings as working with them. That's, interrogating prisoners, basically, the alien retention program. But there is a lot of evidence to suggest that the control group, or sections of it, are working with perfectly willing beings that have ships of their own and freedom of their own and are much more powerful than anybody in the control group. See, for example, the Terry Lovelace story. Lou Elizondo has called Terry Lovelace credible. They seem to be buddies. And Terry Lovelace, back in the 70s, was taking aboard a giant UFO, bigger on the inside than it was on the outside. And it was already pretty big on the outside. It's like the size of a Walmart on the outside and the size of a stadium on the inside, filled with ETs, but also military people that were assisting in a group abduction. Back in the 70s, the control group people going aboard interstellar ships, assisting in abductions with, again, perfectly willing and very powerful beings. So, it's unclear to me, why, for example, we would need to reverse engineer UFOs if we've got, aliens on tap to give us information. Maybe they weren't giving us information, so we had to do it ourselves, or, let me know your theories about how all that works. I think there may be different groups doing different things at different secrecy levels, and there's factions and different nations doing different things, but also kind of generally working together on some stuff. Anyway, let me know your theories about how it all fits together. And then if you add in like time travel, it just gets confusing, guys. I hate time travel. But the Juan says lines up with many sources. One here, the ETs were more human than Grey-like, so I think they were EVEs. So he links to this video. Oh, and by the way, this is from the research of Michael Schratt.
Diameter 14 feet tall. That's what you see in the drawing that I've put together here. Yeah. It had a series of slots going around the outer circumference of the disc. There was a small entry hatch on the lower portion of the rim, a brushed aluminum surface. It was found to be buried about 20 inches into the sand at about a 15-degree angle of attack. There were 4 humanoid figures found with the craft when the military got there. Now, according to Harry Drew, there was one that was in front of the other 3, who apparently was the quote-unquote commander. And just to go a little bit forward in this story, there was a communication between the high-level military brass and this particular commander, and he said, quote-unquote, "We will go with you only under one condition, that you do not separate us." And so that was the communication that was made between members of the retrieval team and also these beings that were, if you look at a 5'10" man, they came up to his shoulder, according to Harry Drew.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
there's no description in these illustrations, unless I'm missing it, of these beings?
No.
Do you have any? Okay.
Only from the testimony from Arthur Stanzel. He said that the eyes were slightly further apart than ours, and they had a pointed chin. That's the description I've got in the report.
but not so therefore not what we would call the quintessential grays, or even like the description of the beings from the Aztec crash.
More humanoid looking.
Yeah.
More humanoid, but not your typical gray. Certainly not.
Right.
Certainly not.
Yeah.
Another question I'd like to put to you guys is, what is the earliest date where abductees or contactees observed human, military officials or government officials working with the beings during abductions? Can we date that, when that, alignment started? And of course, if time travel's a thing, then it gets so complicated and hard to figure out any of this or put a timeline together in any way. But let's just assume for the moment that that's not a factor in this scenario. And when did humans begin assisting the beings in abductions? So what became of those beings? Well, Bill Uhouse says he worked with one of them named J-Rod, and he is not the only one to have encountered J-Rod. Dan Burish, a microbiologist, claims to have been assigned to assist J-Rod and help him. And presumably there were other survivors as well that were working with the Lockheed Martin Area 51 guys of the time. Don Phillips, a Lockheed Martin Skunk Works engineer, says his fellow engineers were indeed working with the beings during that time, and they were assisting the Area 51 guys, the Lockheed Martin guys, in developing training devices to allow human pilots to fly our own UFOs. So it's so strange trying to make sense of all of this. Why did we need to reverse engineer UFOs if beings were at that time assisting us in flying UFOs? Did we have to reverse engineer UFOs and then have them teach us how to fly them? Is that how it works? Trying to make sense of this is challenging, but the timeline really works out very well. Kingman, 50s, and by the late 50s and 60s, we were working with beings developing our own UFOs. So if any of that is true, and I think that it is, because it's around that time that experiencers began to see human-flown UFOs, and seemingly human-created UFOs with, nuts and bolts and rivets, that sort of thing. If any of that is true, then why was Bob Lazar and others assigned to reverse engineer UFOs in the 80s and beyond? Why are they still potentially tinkering with UFOs and reverse engineering them unless there are different levels and different factions doing different things and heavy compartmentalization in deep levels of this stuff versus outer levels of this stuff? Either way, Kingman seems like a very important, very foundational event in the UFO control group in whatever they are doing working with the beings. Let me know what you think about all this and how you think it all ties in together and makes sense in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure appreciate it. Smash the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Discord, links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below. Or heck, if you're a reader of science fiction, fantasy, or horror, you might enjoy some of my novels. See the link below. Or you can become a channel member, because channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you so much. Meanwhile, there's plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.